I am super excited to have this perennial in my garden. It's new to me. It is Amsonia, and if you've just joined us, my name is Bobby. I'm so glad you're here. This Amsonia is from Proven Winners. Now, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's a new one, a new cultivar for them, and I believe also it is the perennial of the year for Proven Winners. But don't quote me on any of that because I'm not 100% sure about that. The rest of the facts that I'm going to tell you about this perennial, I do know. I'm going to show off here a little bit, not really. The botanical name for this is Amsonia tabernaemontana. So that's the botanical name of it. I'll give you a few of the specs on this plant. It grows 2.5 to 3 feet tall and wide. So about 2.5 feet, 2 to 2.5 feet tall and about 3 feet wide. It grows in a mounding habit. It spreads or grows out in a mounding habit. So it doesn't necessarily spread by other means, but it's going to mound out. The mound is going to become a little bit larger. It is somewhat heat tolerant. It is deer resistant. It's adaptable to several different types of soil. It's not really fussy about the soil. So this is a great perennial to have. It blooms late spring to early summer. You can see here the wispy little blue blooms on it. They're kind of star-shaped. Anything that has blue or blue tint to it, that is right up my alley. I just love this plant. I love the wispiness of it. I could definitely see a grouping of these. Now, I only bought one to put in my perennial garden because I don't have a lot of space. We planted that perennial garden or 2 perennial gardens out together late last summer, and I'll link that on the end of this video. But I don't have a ton of space left in there, and I didn't want to crowd up what I already have in there. But I could definitely see this in a grouping, especially 3 together. If you have a fence backing it, oh, I think that would just be so stunning. And in the autumn time, the foliage gets a beautiful yellow color. It's really kind of an all-around perennial. You get the late spring, early summer blooms for the pollinators. You get the foliage that in the autumn time is going to turn this beautiful yellow. So I am super excited to have this Amsonia in my garden. I love on the Proven Winners tag that they show it at its full potential, probably, you know, after it's been grown a couple of years, and it's just full of blooms. I can't wait for this one to get like that. And I'm kind of racking my brain like, oh boy, where can I make a little grouping and even build a little kind of a faux fence or something like that so I could plant a little grouping of these. Because when I saw them at the nursery that I picked this up at, they had probably 20 of them, I think maybe 20 of them all grouped together, and I was just like, oh, I love that. I love that so much. The tag here says it grows best in full sun to part shade, and it is, like I said, mostly drought tolerant once it is established. Of course, whenever you plant anything, you want to keep it watered for the first several months, even maybe up to a year. I water my shrubs, trees, perennials up to a year, maybe sometimes up to 2 years once when I plant them. But once things get established, they don't need nearly that much water from you because their roots have grown down and they're able to take up enough water to help them survive. The tag also says it grows well in both northern and southern gardens with little care. It is hardy in zones 4 through 9, so that's a pretty wide range of hardiness. I'm just super excited to watch the progression of my perennial beds. Everything is coming up, and all the things we planted late summer, they're all coming up. I'm so excited. You know, it's always exciting to see once things start taking off in the spring, the things that you've labored over during the previous year and you kind of planted them and you didn't see a lot of growth, but then the next year you start seeing a little bit more growth. That is so exciting. So keep on the lookout for this plant if you don't already have some Amsonia in your garden, and even if you do, if you find a spot, add a few more, especially this Proven Winners variety, because Proven Winners is pretty tried and true for the quality of their plants. Now it's time for me to go plant this. And as always, friends, I really appreciate you being here. Until next time, happy gardening. Bye-bye.